I'm going to pile on to yesterday's discussion about why manga is the true king in the comic book marketplace right now and probably for the foreseeable future. And the truth is it's because writing in comic books, American comic books especially, has become exceptionally lazy. You guys just aren't doing your job. In fact, what you're doing is you're towing the company line, and it's become boring and redundant, and we've heard it all before. You see, comics used to be looked at as somewhat counterculture. Was there actual political undertones in a lot of the comic books that were written? There absolutely was. You look back to comic books like the X-Men in the 1960s, and it had a political undertone to it while still being a mainstream book written for kids. It was teaching you a lesson without beating you over the head with that lesson. Unfortunately, now they've flipped that script entirely on its head, and it's beating you over the head with their talking points rather than entertaining you. And what they're doing is they're losing the audience, which means they don't get to entertain or potentially educate anybody because no one's listening. Counterculture used to mean going against the system, going against the machine, going against the government, whatever you want to call it. There's nothing punk about agreeing with all the mainstream talking points and making them the siren song of everything that you do. It is boring. Like I said, it's redundant. We've heard it all before. You could do a much better job. What I think is happening in comic books is we've hired, when I say we, I mean the culture as a whole has allowed, we haven't gatekeeped enough, some of the worst writers, talentless hacks, people that just regurgitate things that they've heard on Twitter to come in and fill out bullet points that have already been co-signed by the masses. Like, oh yeah, that would be exactly what we'd like to hear. Oh yeah, that over there is really inclusive. Oh yeah, that here makes me feel really, no, it's boring. Nobody needs to feel safe. You don't need to feel safe from fiction. What you need to do is you need to find an audience. You need to find what resonates with that audience through you telling really intriguing, interesting stories. And you need to flex in that groove. It's not difficult. I know writing it is difficult. I'm not taking away the skill set and saying there's nothing difficult about that. That is inherently difficult. And I absolutely tip my cap to anybody who can find themselves a career in being a fiction writer. Getting an audience off of something that you create off the top of your head is a very difficult endeavor, but there's nothing difficult about reciting already co-signed talking points. You got to do better. If you want to make a career out of this, you've got to do better. If you want American comic books to ever take back the lead over manga that doesn't politicize their stuff, you go read it. If you don't believe me, go over and take a look at it. Is it sitting there and just constantly reconfirming to you all the talking points you hear on every political channel? No, it's not. Its main objective is to entertain. That's what you should be doing with entertainment. Worry about the audience first. Worry about sales. I know that is in a increasingly socialist type of an atmosphere that we hear from a lot of broke people who just bemoan other people that are successful in life. I know we have a real difficult time embracing capitalism, but you know what? Maybe go out and focus. I know this is a really out there type of an off the wall idea, but focus on the bottom line. Is that a tough one to digest? It might be, but that's actually an actual business plan. You can write that down and focus on that as something you can execute on. And when you know you're doing it, you'll realize it because the sales will go up. The industry, even if people disagree with you, even if there's pushback with what you're saying, there will be a marketplace for it because there will be a niche. You will carve out a groove. You can't sit there and say the same things everybody says. Be as safe be as inclusive. You can't do it as everybody is. It's just too boring. We've covered this topic. It's enough now. You can stop with the politics. I know they've said every unique story, every new creative endeavor, it's been done. It's been done to death. You can't make anything new. I absolutely challenge you to go out and do something different, make something new, defy the odds, prove them wrong. You're an artist. You're supposed to be on the absolute precipice of the burgeoning industry of creativity. Push the limits a little bit. Stop being so pigeonholed by all the things you hear on social media. Branch out, broaden your horizons, impress us with something. You can do it. There is an artist out there somewhere. There is a writer. There is somebody out there somewhere right now that has an idea that's so good it's got them by the nuts, and they can't get it off the ground because they're too scared of the judgment. Stop worrying about what other people think, what other people say, and put that creativity down on paper. Put it out into the marketplace. Let the audience decide. Be a little counterculture, the actual definition of it. Go against the machine. Stop co-signing what big government and big corporations tell you what's okay. Be a little bit different and impress us, because American comic books dying in front of us while manga stays true to its roots breaks my heart as a comic consumer. I love American comics, man. And I love that we used to be able to have a political message in the absolute undercurrent of the book. And if you were in tune enough, you could understand the allegory that was being said to you. But if you weren't, you could be whisked away by the fiction that was transparently blatant in front of you, and you didn't have to get drawn into the minutia that is everyday politics. It is enough already. American comic artists, I challenge you today, do a little bit better, be a little bit more creative, step outside the box, and prove once and for all that you're actually artists.